Remember how often I have told you from this channel that the US was no longer a sovereign country and how it was now being controlled by a rogue and illegal foreign settler colony called Israel. And if the developments in the immediate aftermath of Israel's violation of Qatar's sovereignty weren't enough, the public utterances of Donald Trump and his minion Marco Rubio in the last 24 hours have conclusively established that the US has now been reduced to puppet state of foreign and illegal settler colony called Israel, with bloodthirsty terrorist Benjamin Netanyahu functioning as America's de facto supreme leader. I'm going to present the chronology of events of the last 2 days to show the sorry state of what used to be the most powerful country on this planet. Let's first look at this uneducated thug called Marco Rubio. Such a misfortune of the USA that a clown who wouldn't even qualify to work as a cleaner in a decent company is now working as the chief diplomat of America. So he visits the settler colony to show his loyalty to his new masters. Whilst in the illegal settler colony built on the stolen land of Palestinians, this thug addresses the media with his master, who is now facing an arrest warrant from the International Criminal Court for war crimes, standing next to him. Rubio was asked not once, but at least on 3 different occasions by 3 different reporters to give an assurance that Qatar, a sovereign country, wouldn't be illegally attacked by his master Netanyahu. He refused on every single occasion. Are you surprised? Forget that. He didn't even have the courage to repeat what his American boss, Donald Trump, had once used to describe the Israeli action against Qatar. Such was his fear, his trepidation of his real master, Netanyahu, that Rubio couldn't even muster the courage to publicly disapprove the Israeli attack on Qatar. Just watch his encounter with reporters and how he responded to each question.
Did you ask Israel not to advance with its military maneuver in Gaza and not to repeat of attack in Qatar?
All I would add is that we are focused on what happens now, what happens next, what role can Qatar play possibly in reaching an outcome here that leads not just to the end of this hostilities, not just to the release of all of the hostages, both living and deceased, not just the disarmament and elimination of Hamas, but also a better future for the people of Gaza, which isn't possible as long as Hamas exists, which isn't possible as long as 48 hostages are being held. And so we're going to continue to encourage Qatar to play a constructive role in that regard. We're focused because at the end of the day, no matter what has happened, these fundamentals still remain. There is still a Hamas, there is still 48 hostages, and there is still a war going on. And all of these things standing in the way of a better future for the people of Gaza and a peaceful end to what's happening now. So we're going to remain focused on what we can do next.
Thank you. Tom Bateman from BBC News. First of all, Mr. Secretary, you have very vocal anger from Arab countries, your Gulf allies, over the Israeli strike last week, accusing Israel of barbarism in their words. Isn't this a crisis now for American diplomacy? And how are you going to assure your Gulf allies, as the President says, that this won't happen again?
Well, let me begin with a question you asked me, and that is, we have strong relationships with our Gulf allies. We work very closely with them on a number of things. We've been engaged with them. We've been engaged with them consistently before what happened and after what happened. And ultimately, the point we will make to everybody is that some fundamentals still remain that have to be addressed, irrespective of what has occurred. The reality of it is we still have 48 hostages. We still have a Hamas that is not only holding 48 hostages, they're holding Gaza hostage, and they're using civilians as human shields. There's still a dangerous element, and as long as they exist, as long as they're around, there will be no peace in this region, because they are not agents of peace, they are agents of barbarism. And it's still a fundamental fact that the people of Gaza deserve a better future, a future which is not possible until the hostages are all released and Hamas no longer exists. All these fundamentals still exist. They all still have to be addressed. And that's what we're going to remain focused on as we engage with our allies in the Gulf, is how can we continue to work together to address those 3 things, which we think are pillars. Solving those are pillars of the broader construct I think all of us hope for the region.
Now, moments later, just before he returned home, he once again spoke to the media, but this time he wasn't under the direct watch of his master Netanyahu. Once again, reporters asked him almost identical questions, and his fear had gone. And he was finally able to disapprove the Israeli attack on Qatar. Watch the clip for yourself.
Well, look, the U.S.-Israeli relationship is very strong. It continues to be strong. The president wants this conflict to end. He wants all the hostages out, all 48 of them, living and deceased. Obviously, we're concerned that events last week, he didn't like the way it went down. He's expressed that publicly. There's concern that perhaps that could... We'll talk about, what impact it's going to have on efforts to get all the hostages back, get rid of Hamas, and this war.
Now you realize why these clowns no longer have the right to call themselves free. They're nothing more than Israeli slaves who have mortgaged their self-respect to a war criminal in exchange for a few dollars. That's what it is. Just few dollars. And in essence, they are slaves and therefore cowards. Only a few hours later, Trump also spoke to the media. And once again, a couple of reporters asked him to comment on Qatar. The first question was about whether Netanyahu had informed him before illegally attacking Qatar. Astonishingly, he said he wasn't informed. I say astonishingly because Trump shamelessly contradicted his own first statement that he had released through his press secretary, Caroline Leavitt. Watch these two clips side by side and see the ugly face of this administration under this man.
Israel, did Bibi Netanyahu speak to you directly to alert you that Israel was going to be striking Hamas sites in Qatar?
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Yeah, go ahead.
How did you learn of it?
Same way you did.
This morning, the Trump administration was notified by the United States military that as Israel was attacking Hamas, which very unfortunately was located in a section of Doha, the capital of Qatar. Unilaterally bombing inside Qatar, a sovereign nation and close ally of the United States that is working very hard and bravely taking risks with us to broker peace, does not advance Israel or America's goals. However, eliminating Hamas, who have profited off the misery of those living in Gaza, is a worthy goal. President Trump immediately directed Special Envoy Witkoff to inform the Qataris of the impending attack, which he did.
And he didn't stop here. When an Arab reporter asked him to give a guarantee that Qatar wouldn't be hit again, he once again refused to give an unequivocal assurance. He then began to pay attention to phonetic complexities of the word Qatar and how it's pronounced in different regions differently. You don't have to be an expert on human behavior or human psychology to highlight Trump's nervousness when it comes to criticizing his country's real occupier and his new master, Benjamin Netanyahu.
You said that you don't want to see Qatar hit again. Are there any guarantees that Qatar...
Well, he won't be hitting in Qatar. As I say, I call it Qatar, you call it Qatar. You're actually more right, but actually you're allowed to go. The Emir said, you can say it any way you want, but I've always thought of it as Qatar. I think it's a beautiful sound. And actually they've been a very good ally. And a lot of people don't know that. But he won't be hitting Qatar, but he will be maybe going after. Now, there was an article that I read in a newspaper just about an hour ago where Hamas said they're going to use the 20 hostages as human shields. They're going to bring them up from the dark tunnels, and they're going to put them in the line of fire so that if Israel goes forward, they're going to die. And I thought that was very terrible, and I put out a statement on that. You saw that.
Now you understand why Netanyahu has been routinely repeating his resolve to hit Qatar again. In fact, in the same press conference where thug Rubio was visibly frightened to disapprove of Israel's illegal action against Qatar, Netanyahu didn't mince words when he said he would target Hamas leadership once again, across the region, including Qatar. So I ask Americans two very simple questions. Do these developments represent the actions of the leaders of a free country to you? Are you proud that the likes of Trump and Rubio, who you elected by the way with your own votes, have successfully enslaved your free country? I have nothing to say if you are indeed proud of this new reality. But if you have an iota of self-respect left, then what are you doing to overthrow these morally bankrupt and depraved individuals? That's it from me. Thank you very much for your support of this platform and our journalism on buymeacoffee.com and Patreon. If you do think that our journalism is worth supporting, then you too should consider becoming part of it. Details are there in the description of this video. In the meantime, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so, because that's one of the many ways you can support independent journalism. God bless you all.